What is up, my fellow Saiyans? This is I'm Just Saying, bringing you the first Azir scenario guide.
In today's video, we're going to go over laning phase on Azir, specifically levels 1 through 3. For this video, please disregard all runes, masteries, and starting items. While these do play an important role in laning phase, we'll simply be focusing on the mechanics and positioning of laning in this video. Let it be noted that your number one priority as Azir in all scenarios is to farm, farm, farm. You can poke or engage for kills, but only if the enemy overextends and leaves himself open, and never take any unnecessary risks with jungle ganks and potentially dying to get a kill. Your main goal for lane phase should be to get CS, shove, poke the enemy laner to deny XP and farm, and scale up for late game team fights. With all that being said, let's get right into it. Your level 1 laning phase can vary from matchup to matchup, but generally you want to place a single soldier level 1 and push the wave from as far away as possible, as fast as possible, in order to reach level 2 to begin your poke. The placement of the soldier depends on the matchup, but here's a good rule of thumb that I use. If you want to play safe, place your soldier at the front of the melee minions. If you feel a little bit more aggressive, go ahead and place it in between the melees and the casters. And if you think you can zone off your opponent early game, then go ahead and place it right behind the caster minions. Try to avoid crossing the minion line when going for poke. Your soldier autos count as auto attacks and will attract minion aggro as such, causing you to take more damage than necessary. Okay, let's move on to level 2. This is where you become a large lane bully in a majority of your matchups, and if your opponent doesn't show you respect, you can easily chunk them out. Use soldiers to farm and zone just like level 1, but when they come within distance to auto attack or use spells on minions, hit them with a Q auto attack, or if at all possible, place down a soldier first, auto attack, then Q auto them for the Thunderlord's proc. Back out and just go back to CSing. Make sure to be careful of early jungle ganks pre-level 3, since you won't have any way of escaping since you don't have a point in your E yet. Expect to be ganked anywhere between 3 to 4 minutes into the game. Pay attention to where the jungler decides to gank first, because this will decide how aggressive you can play your early lane phase. If you see him show bot or top, don't be afraid to use some of that mana and force your laner to go low and use early pots, or even better, force him out of lane. Don't blow all of your mana and make sure to keep your CS up. Okay, so now you've made it to level 3 and you're left with two options. Do I put a point in E for safety, or do I put a second point into Q for poke? Now in probably 90 to 95% of your matchups, you're just going to want to put the point in E just to play it safe. But if neither the jungler or the enemy laner have any CC or forms of engage, you can sometimes get away with putting the point in Q and getting the extra harass early game. Make sure you continue to farm while applying pressure and poke, as well as managing your mana bar. If you reach below 40 to 50% mana, start to conserve, unless you plan on shoving and backing right after that wave. Try placing a single soldier per wave and using autos to kill the remaining minions. This will give you 6 minions times 4, which is 24 mana, just for the Dorans alone, plus the 50% base regen, which will keep your mana pool nice and healthy. Make sure to keep an eye on the enemy jungler. If you see him show bot or top, don't be afraid to use your E aggressively. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can E towards a soldier you have placed, and then place another soldier and Q afterwards, guaranteeing that you're going to get 2 soldiers plus the Q, and then you'll get the 2 auto attacks, guaranteeing Thunderlord proc, and this will half HP most champions you face. Or you can go the more aggressive route, and you can do the whole dash where you E and then you Q onto the enemy. If you're going to do this, make sure they've blown at least one important cooldown, since you're going to be using both your E and your Q to engage. Also, make sure that you hit them with the E and the Q, because if you don't, you're pretty much shit out of luck. Alright, now let's break down a couple of these Shurima scenarios. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with this Viger scenario. So I start by placing my soldier at the melees, simply just trying to shove and stay away from any of his Qs to avoid giving him free AP. As you can see, I can shove the wave significantly faster than he can. First wave's down, all 6 CS. I see him struggling to clear this wave, so I go up and apply pressure on him right here. Take the Q for free, which kind of sucks, but he ends up getting only 2 CS out of this entire wave, which is beautiful for me. I'm going to continue shoving this wave as fast as I can just to force pressure on him to try to farm under tower. I miss one of those right there. Alright, so we're just going to keep shoving this under his tower. Hit level 2. And this is pretty much where you can tell he's a bad Viger. And this is what allows me to start playing more aggressive. I understand that my opponent is not as skilled as me, and so I start to apply more pressure and deny him more CS and poke. Alright, so here he oversteps, place the soldier, Q, auto, Thunderlord, finish off the cannon. And now that I've got the HP advantage, I'm just going to create more pressure on him, forcing him to play even farther back, and now forcing him to try to last hit under tower. And right about here, 3:30 in the game, I know Gragas is topside, so I'm going to go ahead and ward this bush here. And I do see him doing scuttle. So I make my way towards the bottom side of the bush just to avoid any pressure in case he decides to take the long way around. Slightly caught out of position here, getting caught with the Viger stun, and then the soldier's a little late, but here I recognize that they don't have the damage to finish me off, so I just go ahead and trade back, coming out ahead. Alright, now let's go ahead and break down a separate scenario, this one with a Rise. Okay, so against Rise, you're going to want to place a soldier against the melees because you don't want to get too close to your own minions because of all the AoE splash damage he can deal with his E and Q combo. So I'm just sitting at max range, just clearing this wave as fast as possible, trying to force him to use spells on minions. Staying clear of my own minions as to not take any AoE damage. And trying to find any openings where he pushes up slightly too far and I can land a free combo on him. Alright, so I hit level 2 here first. I'm going to shove this wave under his tower as fast as possible, making sure to stay back. Okay, and 11 out of 12 minions right now. Let's see what he's at. He makes it to 8, so 3 CS lead after 2 waves. That's about average. Now I'm just going to try to shove the wave as fast as possible to reach level 3 before he does. Alright, so I'm just staying clear of my minions, trying to avoid the AoE damage, trying to clear this wave and conserve mana. This is where I make a slight misstep, but he ends up making one himself by trying to stay and extend the trade, whereas he could have gotten out instantly with a shield, but instead got greedy and tried to trade longer than he should have. I'm just going to continue to shove these waves into his tower, trying to hit level 4 so that I get my second level in Q and get my little power spike. Alright, so we both hit 4, he's only 3. I'm going to hit him with the Thunderlord proc and put him at about half HP, giving me both the added lane pressure and the ability to free farm. Alright, and with that sums up our Shurima Scenario guide, laning levels 1 through 3. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, be sure to subscribe. I'll be trying to put out at least one of these videos every 2 weeks, maximum once a month, but this will be part of an entire video series called Shurima Scenario Guides. I've got a whole list of them coming, so stay tuned.